Hello yogis, namaste. We're going to begin tonight's full moon practice in a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on my knees, but you could sit cross-legged, finding some side to side, back and forth action. Gentle neck roll forward. Very, very slowly starting to say hello to the neck. This class is focused on opening the throat chakra, enhancing your center of communication, so we'll be really spending a lot of time in the neck and side body. Only go all the way back if it feels okay for you. Think about exploring rather than stretching. Keep the shoulders relaxed, faces soft. There are 7 vertebrae in the cervical spine, 7 different bones in the neck. So take the time to say hello to all of them. Releasing the neck rolls, beginning to find some shoulder circles, forward, up, and back. Now one at a time. Reverse directions. Reach your arms out in front and then lift your hands up overhead. Tone the belly. Fix your clothes. Release the shoulders away and out of the ears. Reaching up tall, finding length in the spine. Maybe some intuitive side to side movement. Plant your left palm on the floor and then reach the opposite arm up and over. Option to add a head nod, yes and no here. Maybe you look down and then up at your top hand. Think about rainbow arching up and over, really pressing the ground away, spreading the fingers wide apart and switching sides. Plant the palm. Opposite arm reaches up and over for the opposite corner of the room. Maybe you gaze up at your top hand. If you are up on your knees, option to transition into a cross-legged seat. Grounding the sit bones, reaching the crown of the head tall. Lower the right ear to the right shoulder. Opposite arm reaches away. Option to gently place your hand on top of your ear. This is an option to do a little cat-cow. We're trying to reach elbow to elbow on the exhale. Inhale to open. Exhale to close. Just kind of hitting a different angle there. And then we will switch sides. Dropping the ear to the shoulder. Reaching that arm away. Option to gently place the hand on top of the head. On your next exhale, draw elbow to elbow. Rounding the spine. Inhale to open. Exhale, elbows towards each other. Inhale, elbows away from each other. Last one. Finding some torso rotation, so really isolating the rib cage. Take your time here. Reverse direction. Really trying to warm up the spine here. Inhale, reaching the hands up overhead, clasp them behind your head, and draw the elbows together. Tuck the chin into the chest. Allow the hands to be heavy, being mindful of the back of the neck. Enjoy the stretch here. Inhale, opening the elbows away from each other. Exhale, close. Seated cat-cow. Inhale to open. Maybe a little back bend. Exhale to close. One more. Maybe you release the neck and look up. Reaching the hands around behind you. Maybe you extend your arms straight. Really opening through the chest, opening through the collarbones. Maybe you release the head. Switch the cross of the legs. We're going to get into the wrists a little bit, stretching out the front of the forearm. Option to add some neck circles. Opposite wrist. Pulling it towards you, trying to get into the muscles in the forearm. Opening and closing, shake it out. This time we're going to stretch the bottom of the forearm, press the fingers towards you, extend the heel of your hand out. Flex and stretch. This one really gets into those tendons in the wrist. And we'll switch sides. Stretching the fingers and the bottom of the forearm here. Curling the fingers towards you and then stretching out the top of that hand. Rolling out the wrists. We're about to transition into a tabletop where we're going to be putting some pressure on the wrists. We want to make sure they're nice and warm. Bring the palms together behind your neck. Inhale to open. Exhale, bowing forward. Inhale to open, lifting through the heart. Exhale, bow. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Release everything. Twist. Finding length in the spine, reaching tall through the crown of the head. Take your time here. Every inhale you find length, every exhale you twist a little bit deeper. Maybe you turn and gaze behind you. Inhale, come through center, arms overhead. Other direction. Deep breaths into the abdomen, low back. Coming back through center. Wide-legged straddle. Reaching the arms out to a T, side to side, very slowly, like you're trying to push something away from you. Reaching for each foot, keeping the spine nice and long. Maybe you point and flex your toes. We're gonna tilt over to one side, plant the forearm. Option to put your forearm on a block here. Stretching the side body. We're going to be doing a lot of side body stretching today. A lot of floor work, a lot of side body, a lot of neck and shoulder openers. Switching sides, reaching up tall, lowering the opposite arm to the ground, reaching up and over like a rainbow. My right side is a little bit more stiff. Just gotta breathe deeply into any areas of tension. Allow the oxygen and gravity to release the muscles. Maybe getting into that deeper tissue, the fascia. Releasing the legs, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor, and we'll transition onto our hands and knees, finding Varmanasana tabletop, and then immediately extending into plank. Coming forward onto the toes. Of course, you have the option to do this on your knees. Rocking and rolling, starting to warm up the legs. Check in with the wrists. Make sure that you're really spreading your fingers wide here. Spreading the fingers apart from each other. Pressing into the thumb pads. Walk your plank. Bending one knee and then the other. Lowering the knees to the ground. And then press back into child's. Kind of doing a puppy pose here. And then transitioning into full puppy pose. Melt the heart towards the earth. Hips are over the knees. Toes could be tucked or tops of the feet on the floor. We're going to transition back into tabletop. So all four hands and knees. Finding some cat-cow. Pressing the mat away, curling the back. Lowering the belly, lift the gaze. Cow. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Tuck the chin. Curl the tailbone under. Maybe you transition into some torso circles. So cat, cow, but adding the side-to-side motion. Maybe you add the neck circles as well. 3 in each direction. Reverse. coming back through neutral. Transitioning to the sit bones. We're going to find Janu Shirsasana, head to knee pose. Draw your right foot to your inner left thigh. Extend your left foot out in front of you. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead. And then we're going to slowly come forward with a flat back. We'll be here for several rounds of breath, so really take your time. Try not to round forward. This is a twist and a forward bend that really gets into the low back and the hips. Continue to breathe deeply. Inhale to find length in the spine. Exhale to bow forward more. Maybe you're able to take hold of your foot. Maybe not. Blocks can be useful here, or a strap. Slowly beginning to walk back up out of it. We're going to transition into a side plank and do some thread the needle. So I'm on my right hand, reaching my left arm up and over. Right knee is planted. I'm going to twist coming through thread the needle. This is optional. Inhale to reach, left hand high. Exhale, turn and twist. Inhale to reach. Exhale to twist. One more inhale. And exhale, twist. One more reach. Coming into full side plank. Maybe you lift that top leg. These are all just options. Transitioning to Janu Shirsasana on the other side, head to knee pose. Left knee, left foot finds inner right thigh. I'm going to come forward with a flat back. Take your time here. Several rounds of deep breath. Slowly walking the hands back up. And then returning to that supported side plank. Take a minute to get it set up. Press the mat away. Reaching the top hand and then twisting thread the needle. Inhale to reach, open. Exhale, curling, reaching through. Maybe you look behind you. Inhale to open. Exhale, turn and twist. And then transitioning into full side plank if you want to. Maybe you lift that top leg. Lowering back through center. Coming into plank, lower down to the belly. We're going to find Sphinx. Forearms on the earth, tops of the feet on the mat. Pelvis presses into the earth. Find an opening in the heart, lift the gaze. Actually, lifting the gaze is optional. You can also do a little head release here. I believe the classic Sphinx pose gaze is a little bit like towards your hands. So if you want to, also option a transition into seal by straightening the arms. It's gonna get a deeper back bend, still a little bit early, might be a bit intense. Release everything into crocodile, forehead find stacked hands. Allow there to be no effort, just release. Bend the knees, circle the ankles. Curl the toes under, press back into tabletop. Find that supported side plank again. We're going to transition into supported half moon by lifting that top leg, reaching the ball of the foot along. If you like, you can reach around behind you for a tiger tail variation. Get a little opening in the chest, a little opening in the hip flexors here. Really try to press the mat away with that supporting hand rather than collapsing into it. Switch sides. Supported side plank. Transitioning into supported half moon by lifting that top leg, shifting the weight forward a tiny bit in your hand, and then option to bend your knee. Grab a hold of your ankle, find that tiger tail, heart opener. Maybe you release the neck. And then returning back through center. Transitioning through tabletop, coming into a standing kneeling position. Take a big step forward with the left foot. We're going to start to get into the hips and hip flexors and quadriceps and hamstrings a bit here. You can have your hands on your hips. Maybe you release the neck and look up. Finding a little heart opener. If you're ready to go further, you can bend into that front leg a little deeper. Maybe you lower the hands to the earth. Maybe you tuck the toes under. Coming into a deeper low lunge. Maybe you straighten out that back leg. Maybe you find a twist. Using the left hand on the left knee for leverage, press the mat away with the right hand as you turn to look over your left shoulder. Being really mindful of the entire spine here, taking your time to set it up. Option to lift the back knee off the floor, coming into full easy twist. Plant the hands on the mat, returning to low lunge. Lower the knee. Option to reach around and find your foot, getting a little bit deeper into the hip flexors, quadriceps. Maybe you find a small back bend. Maybe you find some articulation in the neck. Allow it to be a chest opener, Gently release. And we're going to do that runner stretch on the other side. So the left leg will be extended out in front of you. Flex the toes towards the face. Flat back. Find some cat-cow action with the spine. I'm resetting here. And then we'll switch sides. So coming up onto the knees, right leg is forward. Coming up, hands on hips. Maybe you look up. Try to press the pelvis forward. You can start to lean into it if you want to go deeper. Maybe your hands find the mat. Always thinking about spreading the fingertips wide. Option to curl the back toes under and lift the knee off the mat. I like to sort of lift it and lower it a couple times, warming up the joint fluid around that kneecap. Rocking forward and back to get into the ankle and toes. And then thinking about twisting to the right, using the right hand on the right knee as leverage. Press the mat away with the left hand. Being mindful of the wrist. Continuing to take your time in this twist. Option to come up by lifting the back knee off the mat, and maybe you come into full easy twist. This side is a little bit tighter for me. Option to reach for that back foot, finding your front body opener. Again, pressing the pelvis forward, allowing it to be a heart opener, getting into the hip flexors, quadriceps. If you can't quite reach your foot, you could practice this pose with a strap or a scarf. Gently release, and then transitioning into hurdler stretch. Extend that foot long in front of you, nice flat back. Breathe into the back body. On an exhale, maybe you lower down. And then returning to tabletop. Coming forward, laying down on the belly. Turning onto your side, let us arrive in side sphinx. This is one of my favorite side body stretches. So you don't have to do much except prop yourself up on your elbow. Try to keep the neck in line with the spine. You should feel an opening in the side body. And you can play around with what you're doing with your top arm. Option to keep it out in front of you. I'm doing a little thread the needle sort of variation here. Inhale to open, exhale twist. But this is optional. You could also just hold it. If you want to go a little deeper, press on up, straighten out that arm. Whatever level feels good to you. Relax the shoulders down the back, face is soft. Breathe deeply. Go ahead and lower and prepare to switch sides. Coming onto the left forearm. Trying to keep the neck in line with the spine. Hips and feet and ankles are stacked. Option to thread the needle. Exhale to twist. Inhale to open. One more time. Twist and open. Option to come up onto the palm to go a little bit deeper here. Breathe into that side body. And gently releasing, transitioning into tabletop and then pressing back into child's. You could have wide legs here, toes touching, hands stretched out in front of you. Returning to tabletop, curl the toes under, press back into a down dog, lift up onto the toes, walk the feet forward. We're going to meet in a forward fold. We're going to rise up to stand. We're not going to do too much standing work because my head gets cut off right here. So we're going to turn to the side of the mat and sink into a goddess squat. Lower the right shoulder towards the mat, coming into a gentle spinal twist. We're going to alternate that a couple times. So left shoulder, and then to the right. Either side. Option to look back over your shoulder as you twist. One more time. And then we're going to slide over into Skandasana, which is a side lunge. Option to use blocks here. If you can't get your heel to the floor, it's a good idea to have some kind of support there so that you can practice getting the opening in the groin, using the elbow to the inside of the knee to press the groins open. Hands could be in prayer or down on the ground. Really just any side lunge that calls to you. I'm extending through the ball of the foot, turning towards the back of your mat, coming into a low lunge with the left leg forward. We'll find pyramid by straightening out the legs, scooting that back foot in, about a foot, really getting into the hamstrings here in the back of the leg. Hands can be on the floor like me or on your shins, on blocks. Walking the hands around, turning to the other side of the mat for pyramid. Parsvattanasana, intense side stretch. And then lowering that back knee to the ground, coming into tabletop. Reset the wrists. If you can, think about getting the tops of the feet on the floor. Extend the left leg long behind you. We're going to start to get into the hips a little bit here. So bringing the left leg out to the side like a fire hydrant and then circling it down, out, back. Trying to find some hip circles. There we go. Big circles with the knees. Just really getting into that hip socket on the left side. And then we're going to bring it through into pigeon. So left knee finds that left wrist, and then swivel the left foot forward, scooching back with the right foot until you can find a nice opening in the left glutes and hips. Take your time here, setting it up, finding an evenness between both sides. I like to check and see if my back leg is straight with the top of my foot on the floor. There we go. And then coming up tall with a flat back. Once you feel release, walking forward, forearms to the mat. Maybe you release the head. Maybe release the forehead to stacked wrists. And then returning through downward facing dog, we will switch sides. Lowering back into tabletop, finding those hip circles with the right leg. So extending the leg long, bringing it around to the side, and then down and around. Other direction. And then finding your pigeon. Take your time getting it set up. Think about coming up tall, engaging the core. Back leg is straight, top of the foot is on the mat. Find an evenness between both sides, and then maybe you come down onto your forearms. The hips are quite dense, so they do take some time to blossom. Gently walking the hands back up. And then maybe lower forehead to stacked wrists. Continue to breathe deeply. Coming out of your pigeon gently. We're going to do a side stretch with a kind of Janu Shashasana leg posture, like a tree pose posture, but coming through the side. So, excuse me, right leg is straight. Left leg is bent, sole of the foot finds inner thigh, and then slide that right arm along the inner thigh, reaching up and over. And then we're gonna find a counter pose in Wild Thing. So planting the left palm, reaching around and back, press the pelvis forward, and then lowering everything carefully back down to the mat. Switch sides. So you're going to extend your left leg, bend the right, slide that arm on the inside of the leg, and then reach up and over for your foot like a rainbow. Try not to allow the head to collapse. Doing a lot of side body in this routine. Deep breaths. And then returning for that counter pose into Wild Thing. Plant the left hand, reaching around and back. And then transitioning into boat pose, we're going to slowly sink back onto our sit bones. Maybe you have straight legs. Coming into full boat, Navasana. Engage the core. Maybe bring hands to prayer and find a twist. We'll do 5 on each side. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And release. Good. Scooting forward on your mat, we're going to come into plow pose or halasana. Being very mindful of the back and the neck here. Extending the legs straight overhead. Maybe your feet find the floor, maybe they don't. This really opens up the back and the neck and the shoulders. You could have palms on your back, palms could be on the mat. Option to straighten out the legs coming into a shoulder stand. Again, being very mindful of the back of the neck. Gently release. Rest the soles of the feet on the mat, hands on the abdomen. Take a couple deep breaths to recover. Center yourself on the mat. Draw the knees towards the chest and then lower them to the right. Arms extend out to a T, or you can use your right hand as leverage to help you turn and look over your shoulder. Spinal twist. On an inhale, you find length in the spine. Exhale, you turn and twist a little deeper. We'll switch sides now, coming through center. Draw the knees towards the chest and lower them over to the right. Spinal twist on the other side. Coming back through center. Rolling over onto your side. Oh, we're stretching out the chest. So you're extending the right arm long behind you, and then sinking down into a pectoral stretch. So this is a bit of a spinal twist, heart opener. Stretches the biceps as well. And you can control how deep you twist. Switching sides, so extending the left arm straight out behind you. laying down onto your side and then twisting towards your hand until you feel a nice stretch in your chest. Coming down onto your back, laying down in constructive rest, feet flat on the mat. Preparing for Shavasana. Final resting pose. You can extend your legs out long. Let your hair down. Release the arms to the sides. You could also do legs up the wall here. Whatever feels good to you. Allow yourself this time to rest and digest. Drawing the awareness to the breath. Trying not to get too caught up in thoughts. Continuing to find breath awareness. And begin to find small movements in your fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Maybe you reach your hands up overhead. Maybe you curl forward, drawing the knees into the chest. I really tried to focus on opening up the neck, the throat chakra for this class about Satya, which is a Yama, which means truthfulness. I hope that you find it easy to express your truth in a non-violent way. Thank you so much for being my student, for visiting my channel. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Namaste.